Step two. Step two is to structure the text. I didn't talk you guys through what the different steps are earlier, did I? But you probably all read it on your handout. Did you read it on your handout? Ah, okay. It's one of the beauties of handouts. You know, the human brain works much faster than a teacher can speak. So for differentiation purposes, which means teaching in a way that you can have youngsters, older people, highly intelligent people, not so intelligent people, that you can have them all together, sometimes you need to provide stuff that the super intelligent people can mull over whilst the slower people are spending time working on what you're saying. That's called differentiation. It's a very useful tool in Bible study. We're not going to cover it today, but just something to mull over, those of you with fast brains. Right? Okay. Let me just quickly tell you what the steps of this method are then, just for completion's sake. The first step of the scripture sculpture method, right, makes it sound like I'm trying to start some movement. I don't really like saying that, but I just want to be honest, it's not Duncan's technique, you know what I mean? Wish it was, but first one is study the text. We all just done that. The next stage is structure the text. This is all on page 2 or 3 of your handout. The third one is work out the main point of the text. The fourth one is write down the purpose of your lesson. Sometimes in the handouts you'll see instead of purpose I've written lesson objective. Sorry about that, that's my teacher speak coming in. They mean the same thing, but purpose kind of makes more sense. Easier to understand, I mean. Fifth thing is write down the main point of the lesson. The sixth thing is structure the lesson. And the seventh thing is teach the lesson. So right now we're on step 2. Structure the text. Step 2 is structure the text. Okay? Now this is important, okay? Try to not skip this, because by doing this we can make sure that we emphasize the text in the same way the author did. Okay, there's a structure to the text in the Bible, and by working out that structure we get an idea of how the author was emphasizing the text, which means then when we teach it we can have the same or a similar emphasis. So it's quite an important step here, right? What we have to do, right, is break up the Bible text into lots of smaller sections. That's what I mean by structure the text. We're going to break it up, say this is one section here, then there's another section here and another section here. Let's look at keys to identifying structure. Right? One of the ways to identify structure is looking at words. Okay, there's certain words that will show you how the structure breaks down. We already talked about some of them earlier, like the word therefore. That's a really obvious one, right? What I've put in your handout there is there's reason words. Reason words are like when you say because, or for, or since. Those are reason words. When you see a reason word, that will help you in your structuring. The other one is result words. Result words is when it says in order that. I love it when it says in order that, because it just spells it out for me so clearly. And then I can look at the structure and say, okay, I see Paul's structure here. I see what's going on in his mind. Then you've got time words, like Io was pointing out earlier. Words like after these things. Studying Revelation, that's very useful. Meta taute. Until, whenever. Any word to do with timing. Personally, when I'm doing my observation, I draw a little green clock face, almost like an alarm clock, at 3 o'clock. Some psychological thing. I always put it at 3 o'clock. Then you've got place words, which is like where or from. They then went up to Jerusalem. That is where you would then either finish part of your structure, part of your section, or you would start a new section. You're like, now they're in Jerusalem, or now Paul's finished and he's left this area. Right, then we got manner words. Right, not manner as in heads on the manor. Right, this is M-A-N-N-E-R. Manner words like just as. So the manner in which something happens. So Paul might say just as blah blah blah. But other than words, there's also content, and that's probably the easiest way to identify structure. Looking at the content. Yeah. If the author starts talking about something different, then that's a new structure. So 1 minute Paul is talking about wives submitting to husbands. Next minute he's talking about people submitting to their bosses. It's the same theme, but you would structure it differently when, you know, you would say, okay, this is the marriage relationship, this is the work relationship, you know, and then you've also got the family relationship. I'm saying them out of order, but you know, you've got these different relationships. And then you've got the father and son relationship. So you would put those, they're different content, you put them as different structures. Right, then you've got major and minor sections, okay? What I mean by that, try and view it as big bones and little bones. Yeah, like you've got a big bone here, okay? Then you've got lots of little bones here. Right? Now you might have a big section which is talking about submission, but then the little bones could be submission in the family, submission in the workplace, submission to one another, that kind of thing. So sometimes you're going to have big sections, and then sometimes it's going to be divided up into little sections, okay? So you need to note that. Now, here's the key thing. This is where it really starts to get helpful. When you've divided up your text into different sections, give each section a different title. Okay, you're going to give it a one-sentence title which basically says the theme of what that section's about. So you can look at it at a glance and you know what that theme's about. Having said that, what you're going to do now is you're going to do that to Revelation 4. And then once we do that, it starts getting interesting. So if you want to do that now, get your Revelation chapter 4 sheet and start dividing it into sections. What I'd suggest is get with a pen, draw lines in the margin where each new section begins. Once you've divided it up, give each section a title. And the title should be showing you what the theme of that little section there is. Anyone got any questions?